Hello chess family, it's me National Master, Jesse James, and today we're taking a look again from my series of my personal games. And this game I'm going to be playing against one of San Antonio's stronger players. This is Doug Huddleston, also call him James. And this was a nice game that we got to play against each other. I was, just playing my regular game, and then at some point I just dropped a pawn, and then at that point things get a little bit crazy. The main thing I want to say in your chess games, when you are playing, whenever you drop that pawn or you drop something, the odds of you making a second mistake are very, very high. So it's important that you realize this and either take a break for a second, go grab some water or something, but just try not to make that second mistake. Typically, the first mistake is good enough to, to still have a good game. The second mistake is going to be fatal. So let's take a look and see how this game went. I was playing with the white pieces, so I start with d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6. My esteemed opponent over here loves to fianchetto and definitely play hypermodernism. Again, letting your opponent take the center and then they attack from the sides, which I think is a great strategy. I do it myself quite a bit. Bishop f4. Here I did not want anything crazy, so yeah, just the London system for me this time. Bishop g7, pawn to e3, pawn d6, and pawn to h3. Here this is actually pretty fun because, well, I don't usually play the London system at all, so I'm pretty much out of theory here. With that being said, my opponent's looking to play the King's Indian defense against it, which I saw James Canty had a cool YouTube video on this, so I think it's really cool because basically for both people you're fighting over the e5 square, so that's where the game's going to get very interesting. We're both fighting over e5. Whoever wins it most likely will be winning the game. Right now the game is relatively even. Castles, bishop to d3, knight to d7, castles, and pawn to a6. A very interesting move and very much from his style of play. Again, he's going to be attacking from the side, so nice slow moves like this. He even plays the modern as black against if you do play e4 against him. I had an interesting idea here. Computer gives a few good moves here. I went ahead and played a4. I was expecting something like pawn to b5 at some point, so a4 kind of stops that. Pawn b6 and pawn to a5. Here I'm just trying to create some kind of weaknesses. And, well, he actually played what I was expecting, which I was happy to see. He went ahead and played bishop b7, and now I just went ahead and played knight to d2. Now, you can take on b6 right away, although I was a little bit hesitant about doing this so fast. It's good to leave a little tension there in the position. So, knight b to d2, pawn to c5, and at this point, because of the way the pawns are, it's going to be best to take now. Now, it's only a slight advantage for white, nothing to write home about, but still, at least you have a plan in this position. You got to have a plan. And in this game, I was definitely looking about going queenside, at least at first. Here we go. Pawn takes on b6, and pawn takes on d4. This is pretty much forced. If you do take back on b6 in most lines, well, white's going to get a good little advantage. With queen takes b6, we just could throw our knight to c4 here if the knight's looking nice. I'm not too sure. Maybe queen c7 gets played. And yeah, there's a few ideas here. You can look about taking on c5, which I don't like too much, but I think I like this move, knight a5, just trying to harass this bishop. I don't mind taking the bishop pair if I can get it. Okay, and of course, if you take back with the knight, well, this is what I was hoping for. Just d takes c5, d takes c5, and now I got an isolated pawn over here, which I will put pressure on later on. And, well, for my plan as white, I'm pretty much solid, and I don't want to create any weaknesses, so I'll just be able to keep putting pressure on this for the rest of the game. Back to the game, my opponent played the best move. C takes d4, E takes d4, so we definitely have a uneven position now because of the pawn structure. My d pawn and then his backwards e pawn. That being said, he does not let it leave there for long. In fact, he is able to drum up some really good counterplay here, which I was happy that I can fight back a little bit. Knight to d5, attacking the bishop. Bishop g5. Yeah, this move I did to try and... I did this to try and see if I can get him to play something like h6 to make some weaknesses. Unfortunately, this seems to work out for him, so be careful what you wish for, right? I think here the best move might have been either bishop h2 or bishop to g3, just kind of hanging back low and letting him come to me. Well, I played bishop g5. We can't go back in time. h6, bishop h4, and knight f4. And look at this beautiful knight here. Kasparov says it's worth a pawn to get a knight to f4 or f5, if you will. And, well, this I believe him. I am not happy. This knight is so nice here. And there's moves like e5 and g5 in the future to just really say, hey, my knight's not going anywhere. This is my good knight. And, yeah, already the game is about equal now. And the chess game has started. Of course, I don't want to lose my bishop. This is my good bishop. Bishop c4. and knight takes on b6. It looks like everything is going right for him. He gets a tempo to take back and harass my bishop again. All right, again, I don't want to lose my bishop. Bishop to b3. And here we play queen c7. Here, yeah, I definitely like this queen c7 move. There's quite a few moves. I mean, g5 looks fun to me too. It does create some weaknesses here, but also I think it does create some fun play here too. E5, maybe even f5. It's a way to play. He just did not want to play like this. Queen c7, nice and solid. Let's keep developing pieces. Let's put pressure on the weaknesses. It's definitely the e-pawn because it's on the open file. So rook to b1, pawn to b6. Pretty standard here. Bishop g3, harassing the knight. Seeing where this knight is going to go. Will my opponent be playing e5 or will he be playing g5 to hold it in? He played knight h5. Again, I'm happy to see this. My opponent's not pushing me back too much. And, well, there's some weaknesses in his position. Mine, too, over here. So the game is just relatively even at this point. Bishop h2 and rook to d8. This is an interesting move. I guess he was expecting something like knight to e4 here, putting pressure on the d6 pawn, which, to be honest, I most likely would have done. So this rook to d8 is very proactive. Let's see here. Yeah, here... Actually, this is a good question for you. What do you play in this position? You're playing the white pieces. You've developed most of your pieces. What do you play here now? I will always encourage you to stop and try to find the ideas. What's black's plan? What's white's plan? Well, here for white, I have a little bit more of a center, so I went ahead and played pawn to c4, which is actually the best move in the position. Now white has a slight plus. c4 also comes with the idea of maybe playing pawn to c5 due to the pin. So, yeah, this is a nice way to keep making progress and, again, control more of the center. My opponent played queen c6, and my plan was either to play like d5 or c5 in this position, and here, without even thinking too hard, I went ahead and just played the standard move, rook to c1. Uh-oh. Black to move and win a pawn. Again, be careful when in your games. After every move, ask yourself, what is my opponent's threat? Obviously, I did not do this move, and I had to pay for it. Black to move and win a pawn. What do you play? Hopefully you see it. Queen c6 works with the bishop for the battery for checkmate on g2. Well, the knight's defending it. Well, the knight's overloaded. Bishop takes on d4. And here I was already very like, oh no. Okay. I already went into my mind and said, you might lose this game, Jesse. And then Jesse said, okay, let's just try our best then. And that's all you can do, right? Again, when you make that first mistake, go ahead and tell yourself it's okay. The first mistake is not enough to lose the game, typically. It's just enough to give the game about equal balance because the game is still very dynamic. In fact, computer says this is still even. Of course, us humans are going to be like, this is a pawn. Pawns are everything, at least chess players. So, yes, take your time. Do not be brash. With that being said, I got aggressive. I think at this point, the best way I can play now is for counterplay. The king side's a little bit weak, so I studied the position for a good 10-15 minutes, and I came up with this idea. Actually, if you want to guess the move here, you're more than welcome to. You can push pause. If not, check out the show. Here I went for it. Knight e4. In for a penny, in for a pound. At this point, I'm just ready to attack, and I'm looking at making weaknesses. d6 is under attack. I saw this bishop being attacked. And, well, he took the pawn on b2. This is my second pawn that I've dropped, or gambited now. The first one was just a blunder. The second one was a gambit. Bishop takes b2, and computer's giving this equal, which I am happy to see. All right, what was the idea? Well, we're going to be creating some good counterplay. There's some weak pawns around here. Let's see if we can put some counterplay against this. Of course, I played rook c2 here, getting a tempo off the bishop. The bishop retreated to e5, which is what I was not expecting. But with that being said, I found a good continuation here to keep making progress. Again, look for the weaknesses and then add pressure to them. All right, what do I play here? Here it took me a few seconds, well, a few seconds of intuition, and then about 10 minutes of actual calculation to make sure my intuition is correct. I went ahead and played bishop takes on e5. Not a move that most people would be expecting. I think most people here would go ahead and take with the knight here. And, well, that is a good idea, but I found that my bishop was not going to be doing too much in these games. So I really wanted my knights because I'm going to be seeing some dark square weaknesses around here. And, well, my knights are actually going to be very good for attacking them. Funny enough, more than the dark square bishop would be. So, bishop takes, pawn takes, and now for a double attack, and how I win back at least one pawn. Queen c1, nice and simple chess. I noticed that these pawns are going to be hanging. It's up to him now to figure out which one he wants to lose. And he has to be very active here. In fact, again, it's giving white it's giving the game as even. Although with that being said, I have the top 5 moves up. White is better in all 4 other lines. Well, easier said than done. Again, Doug is a very strong player here, and I don't want to take any chances here. I'm going to try my best to win this game. King G7. He decides to guard the H6 pawn. I'm going to go ahead and grab this E5 pawn since you don't want it. And here I'm starting to see a lot of counterplay and the weakness of this king since the bishop has been traded off. Okay, Queen C7. And here a fun little move. Queen to A1. Computer doesn't like this, but I'll tell you, I like it. Here I'm threatening a lot of fun stuff here, and the queen is definitely eyeballing this king for an X-ray attack or a discovery attack. And yeah, it's up to my opponent to stop my attack. And this is where a lot of psychology comes into it, especially when you're the higher rated player. Doug is about expert strength, I believe like 1900 to be exact. But he's a very strong player. I think he's been up to 2100, almost made master at some point. But you know, life and kids get in the way, so he had stopped playing chess. But he's back now, and he's been moving up the board quite nicely. And yeah, well, attacking someone who's very good at defending is very tough. But it is very nerve-wracking whenever you're playing against a high-rated player. You got to bank off everything when you're playing your chess games, so I can do a little bit of bluffing if I want to. I try not to bluff as much as possible, but it's something that you can do. Here, my bluff is really just to attack, which I don't know if that's a bluff. It's just the best thing to do in the position. All right, how did he defend against this? Well, trades are going to alleviate the pain. So bishop takes on e4, rook takes on e4, and pawn to f6. This is exactly what I want. There's all these weak pawns lined up here, and there's actually a lot of fun lines here to do. I had looked at a few different fun lines, but I just did not have the heart to play it. I went ahead and played knight g4, which I saw was, well, I had calculated this a bit earlier and just tried to keep going for the attack. There is a fun line here for those of you who are interested with knight takes g6. Computer likes this. I did calculate this, but after king takes, I did not see the follow-up. I looked at rook g4 check, and I didn't see what the idea was. And computer's giving this as a win now for black. That being said, computer gives rook takes e6, and well, I can definitely see some compensation here. My rook is very active, f6 is weak, this knight's looking a bit weak, f6 is weak, the knight's weak. A lot of things happen. In fact, I end up doing a sacrifice here, a speculative sacrifice, just because, well, in a lost position, what else do you do other than try to win and outwit your opponent? Again, for now, I just play knight g4, keeping it nice and simple. Obviously, f5 can't get played with the pin because, well, this king would just be attacked. So, knight g4, rook to d3, a very nice move here. Looking to double up rooks and also getting that free tempo against the bishop. At this point, well, I pretty much was playing by intuition. Again, I think at this point, my opponent's starting to get a little low on time. So a little bit of bluffing, a little bit of intuition is perfect here. The only way to make it to the next level is to play with intuition. Because, well, you get low on time and you need to trust yourself and your experiences. That being said, I calculated a little bit, but I did not calculate all the way. I went ahead and played rook to e2. Computer does not give this as the top move, but it is the top number 3, at least for the stockfish in Lichess. And, well, he went ahead and said, free money, and took the bishop. With that being said, this is the best way to respond. And this happens in a lot of chess games, just like whenever you play against a gambit opening. The best way to beat a gambit is to accept it. Just like whenever we're playing in our chess games, the best way to challenge your opponent is to accept their idea. Sometimes, right? Sometimes we just know it's a trap. But here, this was the best move to play. All right, why did I do this? I had looked at rook takes e6, and now there's a double threat here. Well, maybe a few different threats. I'm attacking b6, I'm attacking f6, and also attacking on e7 check. This is actually kind of hard to defend all things at once. If knight takes on f6, well, this rook, knight, and rook over here are not helping out with the defense. I can crash through pretty fast here. He played a good move here. Knight to d7, actually top move by the computer. Rook e7 check. King to f8, and this was a mistake here. I think at this point he was getting a little bit low on time. Here he was actually supposed to play king to h8, and, well, I still have some attacking chances. It still gives me a +2 advantage. Although I remember at the time, I was not sure how to proceed from here. I had some ideas, but they were not as concrete, as I knew after king f8 got played. After king f8, I knew this was a win. All right, white to move. Can you find out what to play here to get the advantage and win the game? All right, hopefully you spot it. It's just a simple knight takes h6. And with this idea, you're threatening rook f7 checkmate. Such a simple idea, and yet so hard to stop. Those are the ideas that when your opponent says, oh, I know what you're doing, it's like, perfect. I want you to know because you can't stop it. right? I always hear this from a lot of lower players. I know what you're doing. It's like, that's great. But it's not only enough to know, you need to learn how to stop these ideas too. Well, f7 checkmate, there really is no good way to stop this. I mean, you can't move the knight anywhere because it's being pinned. What else is there? It's a very tough position. Here he went ahead and played queen takes c4. And, well, you can go ahead and play rook f7 check. It's a little bit lazy. It's still winning. Queen takes on f7, knight takes, king takes. And I think I had calculated, queen d1 here for a double attack. But also queen d5 check while winning the bishop. So after queen d1 double attack, the rook can't go to b7 because of queen to d5 check. And I didn't really see a good response to this. With that being said, I had the words from Lasker echoing in my head. When you see a good move, look for a better one. I went ahead and found a different idea. Although I later looked at this with my coach, Baba Cooley, and Baba Cooley spots the best move in the position. And it did not take him long. I played, let's see, the third best move. He played the first best move. Who would have known? Grandmaster. All right. Did you find the move? There's a few winning ideas here, but you only need one. All right. Well, Baba Cooley pointed out queen to d4. Best move in the position. Very simple. The queen was the one stopping the checkmate in f7, so it's a very nice deflection. The queen's undefended. If the queen goes off this diagonal, then you just win the game. Computer gives queen c1 check, king h2, and that's about it. At this point, they're just going to start sacrificing pieces. Of course, queen f4 check, queen takes, knight takes is just checkmate. There's many roads to Rome, right? I went ahead and found the third best move. And the idea was, again, to cut off the queen. I went ahead and played rook to e6. And idea is very simple. I'm threatening rook to f7 check. He'd have to sacrifice the queen now to go ahead and win to stop this checkmate. Well, of course, he doesn't want to do that. He went ahead and played the move I was hoping for, or a move I had seen I already had refuted. He went ahead and played knight to e5. All right, white to move and win. Can you find the idea? Alright, hopefully this one wasn't too hard for you. Remove the defender. I want to play rook f7 checkmate, but I can't because the knight is defending. So what do I play? Simple chess. Queen takes on e5. There's some checks around here, but now it's all forced checkmates because, well, black is just going to be giving checks until they give up. So, yeah, queen c1 check, king h2. You can have fun here and go like rook h3 check. It does not matter. Just take with the pawn. And again, you're just running out of checks here. Oof. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. This was from our weekly Wednesday game. We'll see you in the next one.